Man, I love that theme song. Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Schweppe. My pronouns are she, her. And for those of you I haven't met before, I am our Director of Programs and Stakeholder Advocacy here at NGLCC. And welcome to the first Sip and Pitch of the new year. I hope that everyone's 2023 has started off great. We're so excited to be back at Sip and Pitch Fridays. So before we get into some rules and guidelines for today's program, I'm excited to introduce our judges for today. Our judges are Latasha Griffin, Supplier Diversity Specialist at McKinsey & Company, Katie Levesque, Vice President and Supplier Diversity Director at Truist, and the new Executive Director of NGLCC New York, Kelly Parkin. We are so excited to have the three of you with us today as our judges for our first Sip and Pitch of 2023. And now into the program. So some rules and guidelines for today's Sip and Pitch program. Each company will have 5 minutes to pitch. We'll have a timer that'll be on Jesse's screen, so you'll see it. It'll have 5 minutes listed, and Jesse will also give verbal warnings at 1 minute and at 30 seconds remaining. So if you're interrupted, it's just Jesse reminding you of how much time you have left. We ask that there's only one presenter from each of our participating companies. After the pitch concludes, you'll have 10 minutes for judging feedback and Q&A. If you don't have a presentation, that is not a problem. Sip and Pitch Fridays are designed to be informal and give you real-time feedback on your company's pitch. A reminder that if you're not speaking, to please mute your microphone. And this is a judgment-free zone. It's designed to help you enhance your pitch and grow your company. So, of course, all feedback will be shared in the spirit of collaboration. And lastly, and most importantly, have fun. It's a Friday afternoon, sunny or cloudy, depending on where you are. Up here in Vermont, it is cloudy and a little bit snowy. So we're going to have a great time this afternoon, and I'm really excited to kick off Sip and Pitch for 2023. So now I'm excited to turn it over to our first presenter for today, George Wentworth with Wentworth Consulting Group. George, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm George Wentworth, pronounced he, him. And I do have a PowerPoint.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, great.
So, sorry about that. We do not provide PowerPoint support for our businesses. Wentworth Consulting Group, we are now rebranded as Group Wentworth. We got a brand new logo, and we're launching a campaign just to sort of solidify and make it easier and snappy. Unfortunately, there are a lot of Wentworth Consulting Groups in America, so we needed a name that was not taken. So what we do is we help companies, mostly small and medium-sized companies, scale up. And we do that by providing both strategic consulting and business operations services. So how I normally explain that to business owners is we do the business part of running a business, so you can concentrate on what you do as a founder, as a CEO, and have your team either sell a product or a service to another company. So we do the quote unquote boring part of running a business. And that ranges from full HR services. So we provide payroll services, recruiting, sourcing, as well as compliance with city, state, and federal agencies, and help businesses strategize. And a lot of times one of the issues is they have a lot of work and a smaller budget, so they have to figure out who they're going to hire and when, and if it makes sense to be a remote hire or in the office, and all those fun things that go along with getting someone to work with you. So we help with that as well as those services. We also do financial services. So we have 2 CFOs that work on a fractional level. And again, oftentimes a business doesn't really have the need for a full-time CFO. So we have folks that will do that on a part-time basis. And we offer dedicated bookkeepers. Our bookkeepers come from the Big Four. mostly from PwC, but we do have it from the other agencies as well. And it will be dedicated to your business. So you have one bookkeeper that will work with you rather than, a group of people that you might know or might not know. And we pair them with businesses that they're familiar with, so you're getting a true expert. And we also offer controller services, so accounts payable and accounts receivable, invoicing, all that stuff that nobody likes to do. So we do that portion for you guys as well. So what we like to say to people is you're getting consulting services and you're getting operation services office that has your back. And for us, the interest is if you were a successful business and you continue to grow, it's good for our business because you're going to retain us as a client. So we work with you providing the services as a true partnership. It's beneficial to the both of us. So we also work on an extended network of service providers. So if you need things that we don't offer directly, like insurance, for example, we actually work directly with 2 brokerages, and you benefit from our relationship with them. So you get sort of the red carpet, white glove service, because as an individual, if you went into a broker, for example, you have one business. But coming in with us, we're bringing them a lot of businesses, a lot of different clients. So you get that priority, you get, better pricing, you get a better service from that large network that we bring on as well. So the other thing that we do is, like I said, human capital strategy. So we help you decide whether it makes sense for you to have employees on short-term or long-term contracts, if you want them to be employees and a permanent hire or independent contractors. And we do all that compliance and fun government stuff on the side as well. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? I'm looking at the time and I know I have 30 seconds, so. And like I said, the 2 major services that clients usually come to us for is bookkeeping, because that's all it's paying, and HR and payroll. But, like I said, we do offer full business operation services. So one of the other advantages is you get to use all the other services within the same company. So there is no communication silos. And I know my timer is off, but hopefully I was able to push everything in 5 minutes.
Well, thank you so much, George. That was great. I will turn it over to the judges for their feedback. And Latasha, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much for having me. Love doing these pitch competitions. They're so much fun. So I really appreciate you all inviting me back. George, very nice to meet you. I think you did an excellent job. It was a very clear overview. I'm not sure if I should recuse myself also being at a consulting firm from being a judge, but we'll be very non-biased here. But no, I think you did a great job on the pitch. I would want to ask, who's your ideal client for maybe the 2 different types of business models that you have, right? The operational model and then the strategic consulting. And are they the same client?
Right. So for the business operations part, our ideal clients are high growth startups, because usually for those clients, their need and their focus really is on hiring a team that can perform whatever they're performing, right? So I'll give you an example. One of our clients is in the alcohol-free premium beverage services. So that focuses on hiring salespeople, marketing people, supplier sort of liaisons, right? So they don't want to worry about bookkeepers, HR, and any of that stuff. So we provide those services for companies like that, so they can really use most of the budget towards people that will help their company grow, and we just help their company function. For the strategic consulting part, our ideal clients and all the clients that we offer this for are usually foreign companies that have small operations in the US. So we work with a lot of companies in the UK and Canada that have small subsidiaries here. So they need help navigating the US market and how to set up a business properly, how to hire employees properly. So sometimes we also offer some operational services for them, but they are usually focused on human capital because they do have a bigger company and all these other sort of support services already set up in their country of origin.
Okay, thank you. Would you say, as a follow-up question, would you say that the work that you do is maybe evenly split between the operational work or the strategy work, or would it be more operational or one or the other?
It depends. I mean, as far as profit, it's evenly split because the management consulting part tend to be more profitable. As far as the workload, there was definitely more of a operations support sort of thing. So it'd be 70-30 with the support, but just financially they sort of bring in the same amount.
Cool, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks for that feedback, Latasha. Kelly, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Lauren. George, great presentation. I like how you explained some of the how, but my question for you then would be, why your company? What sets you apart? Where does the expertise come from? Stuff like that.
Right, that's fair. So why my company? Our experts have been working together for over 10 years. So even though our company is not 10 years old, our experts are. And the reason is when I founded a company, I left a larger consulting company and I took a lot of people with me. So a lot of us have been working together for years, and we've worked now with different clients. So we don't have the communication barriers that a lot of other companies would have. The other thing that I always explain to prospect clients that come to me and say, hey, but I have a bookkeeping company and I have an HR payroll service company and I have a recruiting company. And I say, that's wonderful. And the issue arises two ways. One is sometimes these companies will not communicate amongst each other. So they will still take up time and resources from your company so they can talk. And two, if you're working with 3 or 4 different companies, all 3 or 4 different companies must make a profit in order to continue to do business with you. We are offering all the services within one company. So we only need to make the profit with you once. So we can actually pass on, a cost savings to you in a way that it wouldn't if you were sort of breaking those services up. So
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I'll hand it off to Katie.
Thank you. George, it was really nice to meet you and hear your presentation. It's my first sip and pitch, so I'm really excited that I was invited.
Mine too.
Oh, well, that's great. I don't have any questions. Latasha and Kelly asked questions that were really aligning with what I was going to ask, but a few things that I wanted to just say that maybe I would have liked to have seen.
Yes.
First of all, you were very clear. I understood exactly what you were trying to explain and why you do what you're doing and kind of why somebody would need that. One thing, I would have loved to hear you talk about your team. So when Kelly asked why you and how everybody worked together, I like to get a little personal, right? So kind of seeing, hey, I've been working with them for 15 years. We work great. So there's a little bit more of a that personal component. So that was one thing. And then the other thing, it's more of a I wanted to share this. When we were at Unity Week in DC in November, one of the meetings, and I can't even remember which one, people were talking about needing fractional CFOs, right? So I had never heard of that concept in my whatever many years of financial services. So I would say bring that up earlier in your presentation, because I think that more companies need that and maybe explain what that means. Because I feel like probably a lot of smaller, newer companies do need that. And that's exactly what you're trying to do, help them.
Absolutely. Does everybody know what a fractional CFO is here?
People may not.
Like, yes and no.
Right?
Give us a little refresher.
So, so for chief financial officers, right? So that person is really overseeing the entirety of your financial operation. So that's above a finance manager, that's above a bookkeeper or controller, right? So bookkeeper is keeping records, a controller is really taking care of where the money goes and pays what. Finance manager might do some financial modeling, but the CFO is overlooking all of that, is doing a lot of financial modeling, it's signing things, is in charge of liaising with bank and other financial institutions, might be the person that is signing off for grant petitions and things like that. So it's really that top tier executive. Generally, if you are not a massive company, you don't need a person like that full-time, but you'd benefit from having that expertise a little bit of the time. So when we offer fractional CFOs, they would, we have two. I've worked with one of them for 3 years. I've worked with the other one for about 7 years. We've worked in a few different companies together, and they've worked in North America. So they work in companies in the US and Canada, both private and publicly traded, medium and small sized. So what they do is they speak with the stakeholders in the business, figure out what the solutions would be, how much work would be entailed on their level, and then we would do a proposal and say, you'd have this CFO to do these specific things. So it's a little bit different than part-time, because it's not like they're signing up to work for you for 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week. It's more like the level of work. So they're not working for you full-time. So it's a fraction, but it's not a set amount of hours. It's really based on the work that is needed. So you don't get fluctuations of, this month you get invoiced a lot more because you did a lot more work. It's sort of like an understanding of what you're going to need weekly, monthly, and yearly, and then you get a flat fee. So it's easier for a business to plan on their expenses because it's a constant, and you get that expert level at, the executive level. So that's what a fractional CFO is.
See, you just explained it so fantastically, and you could educate your potential customers too at the same time. So
yes,
great job.
That's a very good note. Thank you so much. I will use it.
Thanks, Katie, and thank you to our judges for that feedback. And George, great job. Welcome to your first sip and pitch. That was awesome. We're now going to turn to our second presenter, and our second and last presenter. Unfortunately, our third presenter was under the weather and unable to join us today. So our second and last presenter of the day, Danny Ald with Cocoa Foods. Danny, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danny Ald with Cocoa Foods. Our big news is that we landed a deal with Sprouts Farmers Market. So our pitch is designed to get investors to join us as part of, and so it's a fundraising pitch. Okay, so as mentioned, my name is Danny Ald. I'm co-founder of Cocoa Foods. I founded this company with my husband, David Fulner, and it's based on the love of our son. He was born to a gestational carrier 8 weeks early and spent several weeks in the NICU, but he hit all of his milestones, and so a native cultural practitioner said that we should call him Kekoa, because that means brave warrior, because he had such a fighting spirit. When we got him home, we wanted him to eat the most nutritious food possible. We tried what was on the market. It was either gross or it was bland, and at best had some fruits in it, but there were no vegetables. It wasn't very nutritious, and we didn't think he would like eating it. So there's a problem in this country. The American Academy of Pediatrics for so much time has been telling parents to limit exposure to healthy foods, especially vegetables and different kinds of herbs and spices. And if you look at children from baby to 18 years of age, only 7% actually eat the recommended daily allowance of vegetables. Instead, empty calorie, high sugar foods are abundantly available, convenient and cheap. And parents and caregivers are totally confused about what equals a healthy product that's nutrient dense and veggie rich, and it's fueling an obesity and diabetes epidemic. Meanwhile, legacy brands are still ascribing to limiting exposure to healthy options. We've got the Gerbers that provided convenience and whatever was available and backed it with an aggressive marketing campaign. In the early 2000s, we saw these premium brands come out with organic foods, which is great, but they're still very high in sugar and fruit driven. So we present Parenting 3.0, which has premium foods that are veggie rich, nutrient dense, and palate expanding. This is our solution. Introducing children to palate expanding flavors. We're organic, non-GMO, free of the top 9 allergens. We're filled with vegetables, and we have diverse nutritional ingredients and herbs and spices. The market is ripe for the taking right now. It's a $12 billion industry in North America for baby food. And if you look specifically at the organic market, it's about 4.3 billion expected by 2027. And there is fast market growth. It's almost 10% in the organic baby food industry over the next 5 years. And the growth in purchasing online has grown significantly since the pandemic. Who are our target customers? Well, they're busy, conscious millennials on the go. They're 2-parent executive families. They're the food pro. They shop at local farmers markets. They love food, want to introduce tasty, nutritious options to their children. They wanted to make all the food themselves because they thought that would be the best way to go, but they don't have time for that. They want something convenient, shelf stable. They can throw it in a bag, not have to worry about it, and know that their children are still getting nutritious vegetables. Since launching, we've been surpassing expectations. The parents love these different arrangements for their children that are veggie rich, and they're eating it themselves, and they love it too. They said they can't believe how tasty it is. If you compare our products to some of our competitors, we're all organic, that's great in the premium space, but we have half the sugar in our beet fennel kale compared to many of the products of our competitors. We also have more protein than they do in their foods, and it's all based from vegetable-based foods. And we have a great minerals and vitamins. We're veggie rich, and we taste good, right? We're palate expanding and health training. So our big news that I mentioned is that we just got a deal with Sprouts Farmers Market for 370 stores this May. So we are seeking funding. We are going out there and talking to everybody and anybody we can. So any feedback welcomed. We need money for trade and advertising. We need money for inventory. We need money to bring on some part-time people to help us along, because so far up until last year, it was just David and me. And we have a sales agency that's helping us to, once we get into our distribution centers, to sell to other retailers, so that way we can really maximize that space that we have. So last year we launched, we were all D2C, and we only brought in 60,000 in revenue, but with this huge Sprouts deal, we potentially could bring in 1.5 million. We're going to add 4 new flavors that will make it 7 for Sprouts. We're testing new products. We're reaching out to more retailers. And then by 2024, we want to launch another 3 to 4 purees, as well as our snack line. And we want to keep expanding in retail and D2C. So with our sales agency, we're hoping to grow to over 1,000 stores that we are in by 2024 and year end.
30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. We have a blended margin of 35%. It costs about $10 to get somebody to convert to be a customer, and we can keep them for about 3 years because children love eating these purees well beyond the first couple of months and the first years. This is our team. So there's David, my wonderful husband. This is also Sharon, who joined us recently. And we have a team of agencies that we rely on to help us where we can't sort of fill all the gaps that are needed. Not only do we want to be a successful company, but we also believe in giving back. Here's some partnerships. If you want to join us on the journey, we say thank you.
Well, thank you, Danny. That was a great presentation. Awesome job. I'll turn it over to the judges. And Kelly, let's start with you this time.
Well, that was great, Danny. My kids are all grown, but boy, I sure wish that that was available 20-something years ago. So I love the personal story right out of the gate. I think that that is a great way to just grab folks. And you, I like how you pretty early on talked about the potential gain, since this is geared toward investors. I'm curious about the deal with Sprouts. Did you promise any kind of exclusivity?
Yeah, so we're going to be using a distributor called KeHE, which is their primary distributor. So the exclusivity is for anybody in the, like, it's for any of their major competitors, basically. So they said that they don't have an issue if we want to target retailers in the Northeast, or even in like the Chicago Midwest area. But like any companies like Kroger, Whole Foods, they see as direct competitors. So we have to kind of hold off on that until the exclusivity ends.
And is that a year or is it?
So another exciting thing, which I think I didn't mention, is that we're part of this special program where they're going to be putting us in their Forager Center, which is the innovation center. So when you walk into the store, staff are there with a couple of products that are new and emerging, and they talk about it and tell everybody, you know, why it's a great product. So as long as we're in there, which we have from 6 months to 12 to be in there, we have to be exclusive. If we decide to get out earlier, then the exclusivity requirement is over.
Great. And that actually was my only other question for you, is what your plans are to make sure it's successful when you do go into Sprouts. So that was part of it. Do you have other advertising plans or things like that?
Yes. So we signed with our sales agency. So we pitched and got Sprouts, and then a broker was like, "Oh, we want you because you have this great deal." So they're talking to us about like how to structure all the couponing. And then we're talking with with many marketing agencies to find out about doing like geo-targeting. So people who are in the Sprouts area, people who shop at Sprouts, so they can see our ads on social, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And then we've been also getting a lot of good information about potential like digital couponing that we can do. So we can directly communicate with consumers. And then if they go in and buy the product, they can get like money back. So a few different programs that way.
Great, thank you. I'll hand it over to Latasha. It's so nice to see you, Latasha.
Oh, wow, that was so great. What an amazing presentation. I think right out the bat, you connected with the emotion, with the sharing the story about your son and your family, and that anchors people right away. But then you clearly go into, right, understanding the demand, you know your market, you know your competitors. It's clear that you understand how to utilize the money. Your excitement and passion about it is also clear. You have a clear plan for the future. I would just ask, maybe helping the audience understand more about your background before you started the business, right? Because it's clear that you've got a good business acumen foundation that might help to bring some confidence to the table. But other than that, man, one of the best pitches I've heard, honestly, in doing this in a while. So I don't have a whole lot of feedback, but maybe just bringing more of your background into the conversation.
Thank you. I really appreciate all that feedback. My background is not in any of this, to be honest. I have 20 years of experience in higher education. So what we were sort of advised early on, my husband also he works in television. So totally outside of customer packaged goods, outside of baby food, et cetera. We were kind of advised to sort of downplay our actual experience because people would feel like it's too different from what the market that we're in now needs. But what I used to talk about was that, you know, I did a ton of project management. So we had to implement like new processes across the institutions. So it was about change management, getting people on board, getting them excited, and working with just large volumes, you know, with so many variables in the air. And last year was definitely a big learning curve being in this whole new industry. So it was always learning how to pivot. So, you know, I'll think about how we can kind of present it so that it's like the best of what we had from our prior experiences, but also like how this past year of being live and selling and what we've learned and how that's worked. So that way people can feel, you know, we are the right team, David and me, as well as Sharon and then the rest of the team that we rely on outside.
Awesome. Knowing that, I mean, that probably is a great path, but you clearly have mastered this business acumen stuff. That was a great pitch. I would say, I know this was more of a investor-based sort of pitch because you're practicing right now, but I would also just encourage you to make sure you're very targeted in this community of corporate members, and that you're spending your time very judiciously on who you're targeting, what you're asking for, because in the, you know, you're in the agriculture space, you're in their marketing needs. There are a lot of corporate members here that can support in ways that may not just be purchasing your product. So I would say just making sure that you're targeting and where you're going to spend your time in this EcoShare, but great pitch. Really.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to connect with anybody in these groups. This is wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Latasha. All right, Katie, over to you.
Danny, you did a great job. I agree with everything Kelly and Latasha said. I did want to just add on to something that Latasha mentioned about using all of the corporations within the NGLCC base and attend one of their events in person. I think Denver is going to be really fun this year. Personally, I'm excited, so you can go and you can meet folks. I think that'll be really helpful for you. And just getting different opinions. I know Target usually goes and some, big companies. So one on that. Also, I thought you did so great. I wrote down Shark Tank. I felt like I was watching Shark Tank. Like you were very knowledgeable, like the stuff that they would be asking on Shark Tank, you already had kind of prepared, like the customer cost of acquisition and, all that stuff and the life of how long you can keep them as a client. I think all that was really great.
You applied to them, so we're waiting to hear.
Your purpose was clear. Yeah, your purpose was clear. The one thing is, I think you might even be able to expand the customer base a little bit past 3 years old or so, because my son, he's 6. He's very picky eater. Most kids are. He eats a version of those now still. They're like applesauces, but they have protein and low sugar. So I buy them for him because he won't eat anything else. So you might, obviously don't get ahead of yourself, but just something to think about. They're called like protein slammers or something. That might be something to look at, especially kindergartners and the young ones. I don't really have any negative feedback or anything. Is there anything that you ask of us that you're hoping to try to improve on and see if we caught hey, did I do this? Did you notice that? Or anything like that? I feel like I want to be able to help you a little more.
No, I think the feedback of connecting with the community is a really great tip. And, I think that there are a lot of ways that we're trying to grow. So, if folks are interested, in conversations around marketing ideas, and we haven't really, this is our first venture into retail. So if anyone has any retail background that we could chat with, who could help us out, that would be greatly appreciated.
All right.
Someone's in marketing. Cool.
Great. Well, judges, thank you so much. And Danny, thank you so much for that presentation. And folks, this is why it's so important to always have your pitch ready to go, because we are going to have an on-the-fly presenter here to fill in that third presenter spot today. So I'm now going to turn it over to Rick Fogarty of Acu Photography. Rick, thanks for volunteering.
Sure. Howdy, everyone. My name is Rick Fogarty. Let me just pull up my slide deck here real quick, and I'll start sharing that. Okay, I believe the slide is being shared. Can you all see it?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, great. Well, howdy, folks. My name is Rick Fogarty. I am the founder of Acu Photography. My nickname is Cowboy Rick, and my pronouns are he, him. We proudly offer professional real estate photography services here for the LGBT customers and our allies in Dallas. Our mission is to provide a positive impact for the LGBT community by providing professional real estate photography services to our community and our allies in Dallas. We envision a world where all LGBT people are ensured equality and embraced as full members of society at home, at work, and in every community. Get my slides to advance here. There we go. So the problem is there is currently no LGBT business providing these services in Dallas. The exciting news is that Acu Photography is the first and only certified LGBT business enterprise offering these services in North Texas. I believe there might be one other one, maybe in Austin or Houston, but frankly, for real estate photography, I think there's only about 6 of us across the country. And here's an example of some of the services that we provide. So why am I doing this? Well, I love photography. I want to make a positive impact with our community, and I want to sell to people in our community and partner with them. Eventually, I want to take some of these skills with me when I retire in Costa Rica, because heaven knows there's plenty of beautiful resort properties down there and vacation rental properties and whatnot. So the customers that we're going after would be primarily realtors and property managers, but we can absolutely work with interior designers and architects and builders and other allies that are out there. So how are we different? What is our value proposition? Well, our customers need real estate media assets as soon as possible. And we provide those photos that they desperately need the next day. The other assets would be provided within a few days. We make it easy for our customers to schedule, pay for, and download their media assets. Our initial service area is basically the northwest chunk of Dallas. And there's a map showing that. Our market share, if you look at it, there's roughly about 1,000 realtors in the Dallas area. And of that, we assume maybe about 40% of them are LGBT or allies. So that's about 400. And of that, maybe 10%, 40, customers. Now that may not seem like a lot, but they are potentially highly likely repeat customers throughout the year. And so if we strike up a business, and so long as we have good services and deliver, we can absolutely have that relationship last for years. So how do we go about attracting these customers? Well, we have several different sales channels that are already stood up. We have a very busy and active Google business profile. We have our direct marketing in place. We're on a variety of social media channels. I do plan on setting up some online ads. We're not doing that currently. We're already in about 80 different online directories, and we plan on using some of the local media. So here in Dallas, that's the Dallas Voice. And I'm a member of a variety of professional groups locally and nationally. And we have marketing activities to basically match all of that. So our competition in North Texas, of course, everybody seems to want to move to North Texas because we're just growing like crazy. And so we're different because we're the only nationally certified LGBT business. I also am a certified professional photographer with the Professional Photographers of America. We deliver the photos within 24 hours, and unlike our competitors, we have professional presentation and delivery. And really important, our drone pilots are fully insured and FAA certified. That time?
Nope, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. So the team, myself, I'm Rick Fogarty. I'm the founder. I've lived in Dallas for over 30 years, providing pretty much computer consulting services. I'm now a certified professional photographer. And by the end of next month, I think I should have my FAA drone pilot license. I am working with 2 different mentors here in Dallas. I do have my board of advisors in place, and I'll just mention that Jeffrey Cannon is actually my husband, and I'm working with an accountant that specializes in offering accounting services for photographers nationally. So our financials, as a startup company, our first year probably doesn't look that rosy, but we do eke out a profit. So that I'm grateful for, but the next 2 years, the profits will be much greater. And at this point, I will point out, I do still maintain 100% ownership of the business. So in terms of partners and affiliations, I do belong to different professional photography groups at a national, state, and local level, as well as chambers of commerce. I belong to the NGLCC, as well as the Texas Chamber of Commerce and our North Texas Chamber of Commerce. Let's see, growth plans for 2023. My big
Rick,
one is
we are at time, just
okay.
FYI. So if you just
All
want
right.
to read quickly.
Okay, very good. I'm Rick Fogarty, Cowboy Rick. You can find me at cowboyrick.com.
Awesome. Well, Rick, thank you so much and appreciate you jumping on the fly to fill in this third presenter spot.
You bet.
Start off for our judging feedback. Katie, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hi, Rick. Thanks so much for presenting last second. I wouldn't have been able to do that. I need like 3 weeks prep time for anything.
I wasn't expecting it.
So I thought you did a great job, given that you didn't know you were going to be doing it today. And so let me understand, your targets are basically realtors and others that are going to be presenting a real estate spot.
Yes.
Right? Okay. You know what I would have liked to have seen? Pictures of your work, so that we can really know why you, I mean, you gave a great information with regards to like your recognitions and your certifications and all of that. But a couple pictures would have been very nice, especially the drone ones. Those are always cool.
Yeah.
And would you use this pitch or this presentation for making a case to have people work with you?
As a matter of fact, I had my second interview for a co-founder this afternoon, or actually this morning, and we have another one scheduled next Friday. Seems kind of promising, but you know, it's still ongoing. So I can't say I have a co-founder yet, but it's looking good.
The last little tidbit is I know that NGLCC does certify realty companies, because I sit on the committee and I just reviewed one last week. So it may be helpful to look and see if there's any NGLCC certified realty companies within your area.
I've already done that, and there are.
Okay,
There's a
awesome.
huge one
I
here
figured,
in
but I had
North
to say
Texas.
it. Okay, that was it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. All right, Latasha.
All right, cool. So as a former real estate agent and a current real estate investor here in Georgia, thank you for your service. I would have loved to hear how aerial footage and professional photography grows a realtor's ROI, how quickly they can sell a house. Nothing makes you more upset than having a great house listed and there aren't any pictures, or there's one that's crappy, right? So really going in on how the value that you bring to a realtor and their ability to convert leads and contracts into sold listings would be like, I would just dial in on that on any pitch, because that's the value that you're going to bring to your client base.
I actually have draft blog posts on those topics. Absolutely.
Awesome. And I would say too, start to position yourself on social media if you're not already as an expert in that space, right? And possibly even be thinking about alternative arrangements you can have with real estate agent or even brokers, where it's on a flat fee service or even on a equity percentage basis if they sell, right? Some sort of alternative arrangements, right, to incentivize them to keep coming back to you. But this work is absolutely tremendous and such a big help to helping to convert sales. So I just wish you all the best of luck. And Dallas is a booming market, so I'm sure you'll just soar from here. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
For sure.
Thanks, Latasha. All right, Kelly, bring us home.
All right. That was great, Rick, and totally impressive that you did that on the fly. And again, like Lauren said, it's so good to have something in your back pocket, because you never know when you'll have a chance to present.
Yeah.
So I echo Katie and Latasha, definitely. I want to see more photos. Show off your work, right? Because the couple that were in there, they were fabulous. So definitely highlight that, and absolutely the kind of the why drone footage and other kinds of photography that you offer, you know, why that's so important. I think that you should highlight that. And then the one comment I have may or may not be relevant, since you had this presentation just kind of ready to go, but I would really suggest that you have a few different ones. So if you're looking for investors or for, co-owners, then you have that kind of focus. This one, because it was a more generalized, some of that information isn't necessarily relevant to a real estate agent. If they're sitting with you,
again,
they
this
don't
was
need to know
last
where you're.
minute, so this was a pre-packaged for a different.
Absolutely, that's what I
had
thought,
it,
but
and I knew you were short a speaker, so I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll jump in.
no, I figured that it probably was irrelevant. But definitely I would, if you don't already have a few different ones, maybe make
Yes.
a couple.
Always tailor your message for your audience, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I think that you've got a great business here, a business plan that you're and services that you're offering. So great job.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Rick. And again, awesome that you could just jump in and give this presentation for us to round out our 3 presentations for today. So that's it for presentations, but I do want to turn it over to our 3 judges. If you have any final thoughts on our presenters or just advice for those in the audience who are working on their pitches themselves, things you think they should include, or just general thoughts on pitching in general. So Latasha, let's start with you.
Sure. I would say the common theme here that was really important is the passion came through with all 3 of these presenters. You want people to connect with your energy because you almost draw them in, and that happened in each 3 of these pitches. So for anyone who's thinking about crafting their own, I would say start with the energy, make sure that that's transferring to your audience to get them engaged. But really good job, guys, and thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being with us, Latasha. Kelly, any final thoughts?
Well, yeah, definitely echo what Latasha said there. One thing that I didn't mention is something to think about when you're making these presentations is to use try to use a little less text so you're talking more. I do find anytime I'm watching a presentation, if there's a lot of words on the screen, I'm not hearing what you're saying because I'm reading the screen. So something to keep in mind. But I think everyone today did an amazing job, and I'm really happy to be here.
Well, Kelly, we are so happy to have you. And folks, Kelly is, as I mentioned at the outset, the new executive director of NGLCC New York, and we are so excited to have her on the team. All right, last and certainly not least, Katie, final thoughts.
I have no final thoughts except for I agree with Latasha specifically about the passion. Saw it all over, up and down, from George to David to Cowboy Rick. Everybody had it, right? Or Danny, I apologize. That being said, I also agree with Kelly about the wordiness of some of the slides. That will help if you put more visuals, like for Rick, the pictures, or maybe big words like bolder words, and then speak to that slide. That way you can even use that particular slide or a presentation in multiple different ways, depending on what you're trying to get across in that particular meeting. So you may not need to have as many presentations prepared. That would be my last thing, but great job, everyone. I'm glad that I was here. I hope they'll invite me back to do another one at some point, that I didn't screw it up too much.
Well, Katie, certainly not. Thank you to you. Thanks, Latasha and Kelly as well for joining us. We are so excited to have you as our 3 judges for today.